Hi.
Hey, Hido.
The first thing I want to say is you haven't said anything yet, and I think that's sort of about that time that you
Yes.
you say something.
But maybe you noticed already that I'm a kind of silent guy. But I actually, I prepared something, a little text. But before, I just want to say, I don't really believe in. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous at the moment.
It's all good.
It's very overwhelming to get all this attention, and it's really not in my character to be in the spotlight. I'm actually the guy who avoids the spotlight, so this is very awkward for me to be in the middle of the attention. But I'm also, I believe that film is a collaboration of all different kind of people, from the director to the actors to the light guy to the guy doing traffic control on set, and they are all part of the images I make in one way or another. So making films is really like a team collaboration. So I'm grateful to all the directors I've worked with so far, and especially I want to mention Bas. I didn't plan to thank him, but I have to do it now because his speech was so lovely. No, because our collaboration is a strange collaboration, but I think my cinematography has been elevated by our relationship that we have and the way we work together to an international level, and it's an honor. I did write a little text, like a speech. I thought I had to, so I'm going to read it anyway. It's not so long, it's very short actually. I was really surprised when I learned I've won this award. At first, I couldn't believe it, especially when I looked at the previous winners and the films they have done. And me, I'm just a beginner. But when I thought about it, I realized I'm not at the beginning anymore. I'm at the end of the beginning, and I have chosen a path that has not always been very easy or obvious. And that comes with a lot of uncertainties and doubts. So I see this award as a welcome tap on the shoulders. Fuck. that it is good what I've done, and should continue in this way. To be recognized as an image maker in the spirit of Robby Müller is a great honor for me. Robby is an inspiration, and he's not only for me, but for a lot of filmmakers around the world. I want to thank the NSC, the jury, and Andrea for this recognition and honor. I want to mention two important women in my life, and that's Hannah. She's my love since forever, and the first to ever believe in me, and my mother, because I come from a family where work and the family business came in the first place, and there was no real place or room for art or cinema. So when their son came with the plan or the idea to study film, it wasn't something they could imagine for me or not realistic. And it was my mother who convinced my father, like mothers do, that everything would be okay. And although she's not here anymore, I want to thank her anyway for opening this door.
That's very beautiful. That's exactly what I was hoping for. So now we're just going to talk about lenses and lights and dollies, and we're going to go really technical on this.
I think Hido will do a lot of talking. No.
So what I found very interesting was the actress that played in here, what she said about your collaboration with Bas on the set and the way you worked, and that she really felt safe and at home, and that she could do her thing. And this is something that I always find very important, that you give space to the actors and don't take up too much space as a cinematographer.
Yeah, exactly. I think filmmaking has a lot to do with energy, and the energy you bring on a film set. So I'm always sensitive. I don't like to ask actors or to go to a mark or just any kind of direction. In fact,
so you would never do marks?
We do marks if it's necessary, but I like not to. I think it's very hard for an actor because, you know, a film set, you're in the middle of the intention. You're really on the spot all the time, like what I hate, and they're in it all the time. So I think it can be very distracting. I think for actors very quickly. So I try to respect that as much as possible and give them as much as possible space in terms of lighting or asking something.
Interesting. So if mise en scène would develop, and at a certain moment you would have the feeling that it would be better if someone would move in a different way, or how would you approach that if you would want to change that?
But it all depends on what kind of scene at what moment. If you're making a complex movement like you're talking about now, I think it's also for them it's less acting and it's more movement. So then it's easier to ask that question. But it's more when they really have to perform and like show an emotion and get into a scene in a certain way, then you have to sense a bit, yeah, like use your sensibilities when it's time or when you can ask something or when not. That's a bit the way I think about it. And actors and giving them marks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I found interesting, a lot of people were talking about what I also noticed, like a very poetic eye, really sort of almost having the feeling like you would let it happen, that you would not interfere, and that you accidentally stumbled onto this situation and you would be filming that. Is that an idea that is that right, or?
Well, it depends on what project or what film we're talking about. I think it's right for. I like to. Can you repeat the question a bit? That's what happens sometimes. I get lost.
Yeah.
Very fast.
So maybe it's also what Andrea said. You know, the quote of Robby, like you're not watching a movie anymore. You're sort of having this window on this situation, and you're sort of experiencing it instead of feeling that the camera or the filmmaker is really pushing you towards a certain emotion.
I think that that's something I like as well, like not to interfere too much and not to have your image too much in the foreground, but it takes too much attention to itself and it takes away the attention of the movie and the story. I think the first place as a cinematographer, you're making a movie and you're not making an image or not like, or a still, or you know what I mean. You're part of the whole thing. So I think that's also always something you have to keep in mind, and it's like the global thing you have to think about.
So, in that sense, because we're sort of celebrating cinematography here, but you would also say it's more about storytelling in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's all about storytelling. It's all about our job is not that important in a way. If you know, sometimes we get a bit too much attention with celebrating. No, if you know what I mean, it's sometimes there's if people come, oh, that image looked amazing, or some films get too much praise because it looks great, but there is no emotion of, there's no story or anything. I think that comes in the first place, and then you think about your image, how it can serve that, and how it can add up. And yeah, no, I agree completely, and I think that the production designers and the costume designers are, you know, if you look at a shot, usually you look at something like this or this, and so mainly what you're looking at is costume and production design and some lighting, and there you go. Yeah. But it's, I mean, it's collaboration for sure. I mean, I'm not only talking about like specifically who has done what. It's more in serving the bigger goal. It's more in that everybody works towards the film. So we are all yeah, I mean, we're not equal, but we all have our part in making it work.
Great. Shall we look at an excerpt?
Yep.
Might be nice. Would be nice to look at excerpt from the short film Nocturnus, and then we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Of course. Where's this? Where did you shoot that?
We shot this in Greenland, in Okatsut, I think. Was it Okatsut? No? It was a bit more up north.
Right.
Pernavik? Yeah, okay. Pernavik, it's in Greenland.
Right, and did you shoot at night, or how did you do that?
Well, we shot it in the winter, so the sun didn't never come up, actually. We only had half an hour of magic hour, 40 minutes maybe. Mm-hmm. So all the exteriors we shot at that moment. We timed it exactly, like looked for the good moment to go. And then we carefully planned our shots. But there was a lot of limitations in shooting in Greenland because we did it on a small budget. It's like a short film budget. But those limitations, like it's very impractical to get at one spot or another. Like the snow, if you walk in the snow, you fall away super deeply. So you had to carefully plan all your shots and think about what you need. And those limitations, actually, it's interesting that it becomes a part of the style of the film. It's something you take with you, and you know like that you don't have a lot of time, and you don't have a lot of shots you can get. So what I want to say is actually of where I'm going at is that style is sometimes a consequence of the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the camera is also not moving too much. It's like very locked positions. Was that the plan beforehand, or
Yeah.
was that also a consequence of this?
No. There's of course other things like that when you talk with the directors at here, Harm and Meltze. Of course, that's was decided on forehand that we were going to lock the camera. Yeah.
And you like a static shot, eh? I see it a lot in your work, also with different directors. That it can be a very well chosen, simple position actually.
I don't, not necessarily. I don't really think in that way that I prefer one thing or another. I'm always, when I start a new project, I'm open for everything. If it's handheld, 4x3, 235, black and white, whatever. I mean, I never come with a preconceived idea. I always, in the first place, listen, and I listen to the director what they want to do, or what they want to tell, what the essence of the story is, or the emotion they want to grab, and then I try to do something of my own in that world.
Mm-hmm. So in that sense, you would say that your style is fluid and sort of reacting to the story and to the way the director sees it.
Yeah, and I hope I don't really have a style. I mean, I don't think in terms of style that much. I have stuff I like, of course. Mm-hmm. And so, by consequence, there is a style in my work, but I don't really think about it that much. I don't really go and think about what my style is.
Right, and if you're preparing for something like this, you know, it's shot on film, eh? It's shot on 16.
Yeah.
And it's black and white, and in the 4x3 format, I'm immediately transported to like 1950s Russian cinema or American cinema even, but in this sense, would you go and look at that stuff, or?
There were photos that we looked at of, but it wasn't the Russian cinema. It was of a photographer who made photos of people sleeping, waiting for a train somewhere, or in some kind of space. Very obscure black and white photos. And so I think that was the inspiration for that movie.
Great. Do you still know the name of the photographer? Or?
No, but maybe Harm Meltze, no. Ah, okay.
Okay. Oh, what I completely forgot to say is, if anybody has any questions, you can always ask. It's not like the questions have to go at the end. So if you want to ask something, we're here for you. What else did I want to say? Yeah, so the black and white.
The kind of decisions it always has to make sense one way or another in what we're talking about. And here, in this case, we really wanted to step away of the Greenland, because Greenland is very beautiful, actually. Especially if you shoot at magic hour, you have very beautiful light. Actually, we stepped away from that. What all cinematographers would go. I can recommend it to cinematographers. If you lose your passion for light, you have to go to Greenland in the winter. It's very beautiful. But it's something we didn't want in the film. Greenland is not important for the film. It's more a desolate place where something happens. So we didn't want the name or the reference of Greenland in
right,
it.
and Greenland was just the closest by to go for that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's
no, it's very interesting.
But there were shots in the movie that we couldn't get in any other place, and it's not here, but it's more the establishing of the village. It was an abandoned village, like a fisher village that we shot, where you see where they're sleeping, And shots like that, it's really a magical place and a special place where you cannot get like that atmosphere. And it also, I think it's important to go to those locations as filmmakers, to feel that place as well. And I think it affects the way you shoot, and it affects, that's what I tried to say in the beginning, like the influences from reality, that it affects what the result is of your film.
Yeah, no, I was also, that shot of the village is somehow, it's almost like you built it. So we haven't seen that, of course, but it's very surreal, I would say, almost, how the houses are planted in the hills. And it's very nice. But I like the idea of you saying it's very beautiful, and we sort of went against that and sort of wanted like a raw version of our world.
Yeah, it's its own world. You create, when you make a movie, you create your world where the story can make sense in. So that's what we try to do, and the reason why we went black and white. Then other people would say immediately, "Oh, it's a beautiful image because of the snow."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Let's look at another excerpt from Ghost Tropic.
Yeah.
Ghost Tropic 1, please. So, very interesting. This was your first project with Bas, eh?
Yes.
And when you were talking about like the long take where she's sitting, and
She falls asleep.
and she falls asleep, yes. And was that an idea you guys had all along? Were you planning on this this idea?
I mean, it's not this kind of things. You have to trust your director also. Like when you watch a movie. No, it's not. It's not that it was a surprise on set. I mean, in this moment in the film, it's the right moment. It's like a transition at this moment in the film that we go into the next step, and she falls asleep, and we wake up in another kind of world. So this was this made sense when we were shooting it at that time, at that moment. But
and you told me that it's a very small film, huh? It's almost like a mini budget. You made this movie shooting in Brussels. I think like in 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, 16 days, I think, or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's very efficient. Bas and I were talking about it yesterday, that I think it's only 1 or 2 shots that weren't in the film in the end. And he said like he barely had enough like to make a feature film of 80 minutes. But what I like about the length of the shot is that it gives you the time to really look at it. And I think in today's films, there's a lot of stuff that's hidden. Like they mask a lot of stuff with editing. You know, that's why editing is made, or it seems to be made in more commercial films. You know, like the passing of time to cut away from the boring stuff, shot counter shot to make it fast and snappy. But I think there you lose something as well. You lose the time to literally look at something, and now you get the shot of like 4 minutes or I don't know what, like of a woman falling asleep, and it can be very beautiful, and it means something.
And also of course, the sound transition is very interesting because you go from like a realistic sound. We go to like tropical birds, or I don't know what it is. So it's like we're going into her dream.
Of course, yeah. I mean, images are empty without sound. It creates a whole world around it. So sound, of course, it's very important, especially for something like this. It also gives you time to listen. But it's about contrast, right? Like if you have editing contrast, you have also a contrast in sound that you're always playing with these elements in when you talk about time.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the 4:3 frame. So even though you don't use it all the time, you use it a lot. It's like a favorite aspect ratio of yours.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's a different way of framing it. I mean, it's very beautiful to frame a close-up of in 4:3 because you lose a lot of this direction, left and right. You can really make a
it cleans
portrait.
Up.
Yeah, like it cleans up the image. It comes more from photography, I think, as well. It's more like a photography kind of, not 4:3, but like, you know. And also, it's in Ghost Tropic, it's a nice relationship with faces, in relationship with the place, the city that you can frame more for the buildings. You make your character small in a different way, and it creates a different focus, I think.
Yeah, because you have a lot of shots in the film where she's like small in the bottom of the frame, and the city's overwhelming her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more in here.
Yeah, in here, that's yeah.
But in Ghost Tropic, it's more about her walking. So and we also make her smaller. And there are some shots that we actually I chose the wrong clips. I think we're talking about clips that we are not showing. when we leave her, that she starts to walk. Yeah, the story is about her falling asleep and then walking all the way back to her apartment. So it's that walk that we show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also the attention why you make a film as a cinematographer. That's the most important thing. Like when you say yes to a project, why do you say yes to a project? And
why do you say yes to a project?
Why do you say yes to Ghost Tropic was personal. It's Bas who asked me shortly after. I mean, I knew Bas as before because I shot short films of his girlfriend, and we already worked together for a short part on his first feature film where I helped out. And we built a kind of a relationship, so that helps. You know the person, you know the director, and you already have kind of a trust in the director. And when I read the script of Ghost Tropic, there was an element that personally touched me because I just lost my mother, and it was for me when we were shooting the film. I was thinking a lot about that aspect. You know, like. She wandering around in a lonely place. So it's this kind of sensitivities and your emotions that you try to some way or another implement in the film.
Yeah, I think that works really well. But let's look at one more excerpt from it, Ghost Tropic 2, which is a completely different scene.
Yeah.
Tu as froid? Je vais vite chercher un pull chez mon frère. Ça va? Ne t'en fie pas, hein?
Okay. Very beautiful how you have all the locked shots of the girl preparing for the boy to come back, and then you get a tracking shot, which I guess because there's not that many tracking shots in the movie.
I think it's the only. There are other Steadicam shots.
Yeah,
but
or maybe not almost
dolly
tracking,
shot.
almost like a psychological shot. It's almost like a reveal, and it's well for me when I was watching it the first time. Emotionally, it's very strong because the restraint before.
Yeah, exactly. That's again that contrast in films. It's what creates everything. But here, it's the only moment that it's more like a classical, a track and dolly, like a reveal. I think all the rest. It's funny that it's kind of something more from genre films in a way, and if you put it in this kind of surroundings, it gets a much stronger meaning. It really creates a different emotion, I think.
Yeah, so in a certain sense, mixing up slow cinema with like maybe more classical.
I think mixing up is a big word, but it's only no. It's only, but it's using it. But that's also a grammar, or that's also something I think it's part of Bas's work. I mean, it's his language that also evolves. He comes. I mean, I watch his previous films, and I also see him evolving and daring to use it, this kind of grammar in a way.
Right. And do you shot list together? Do you make a decoupage together, or how does that work?
No, we talk about, we go to the script, and then it comes back. I mainly listen to what he wants to do, what his ideas are, but he also writes a script in a different kind of way. It's not that it's like 80 minutes movie, it's an 80-page script. I think I don't remember, like 20 or 30 pages for Ghost Tropic, but you get I mean, if you're open to it and you can read the poetry in his screenplays, that's very clear in his scripts. And like I said, in the kind of state I was at that moment, with losing my mother at that moment, you're kind of outside of the world in a way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That you're busy. The world around you is evolving and going on with the daily life. And that was a kind of emotion that I recognized in the screenplay as well, that she is at a different state of her life and continues. So that's, and then we talk about, kind of that in a way, like he said before, we don't talk really about like a lot of technical stuff, or it's not that we do storyboards, it's more, we make fun a lot as well. I mean,
yeah, of course.
It's a playful way to it. I think that's also very important, that you don't take it too serious. You still have fun in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I liked is also the idea of you see the scene with the girl, and you sort of don't know, and the boy goes off, and you really, and then you sort of. And then it turns out that it's almost like a flashback of her looking at her youth or past life, or am I putting too much into it then?
No, that's you. That's good. I think I think the films that he makes are open as well in a way that you can put something of yourself into it and your own interpretation to it. So I think. No, that's the kind of cinema I also like as a viewer, that you have room yourself, that you're not manipulated into thinking something or feeling something, but you have space and you can put something of yourself into the film. That's the kind of films I personally like myself.
Yeah, as opposed to like commercial American film, or which is very
Yeah, it's a different language. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't watch those kind of films. I also go to the new Batman movie to see it. But
Would you want to do something like that at a certain moment, or?
I think I'm not capable.
No, why not?
No, emotionally, and it would feel very, I think, on that level, on that scale, it feels very numbing and unpersonal to me. I think, I don't know.
No. Yeah, right. So you would say that the size of the project matters in that sense. So that it's sort of small or controllable or.
But I like to work in a personal way with friends and people that you know and trust, and I think it delivers. It delivers in the movie. I like to have fun on set.
Yeah, so no stress from above, or.
It's not so much the stress. It's more the way of working. That you feel trusted, that you feel
Yeah. So what's very interesting, of course, is that you also made a movie called Canoe, which is in a certain sense a gangster film or a noir, you could say, or neo-noir. Maybe we should look at an excerpt from that, and then we'll talk about that, because.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Quand j'étais petit, on habitait à la montagne. Et je voulais tout le temps manger mes repas dehors. Même l'hiver, quand il faisait super froid, alors ma mère, elle voulait que je rentre. Et je voulais rien savoir. Et un jour, j'ai plus le droit de sortir de chez moi.
Pourquoi?
Mon oncle avait tué quelqu'un au village, une histoire idiote, il pensait qu'on lui avait volé un mouton.
Pourquoi tu pouvais plus sortir?
Canon. La famille du mort a le droit de reprendre le sang en tuant n'importe quel homme de la famille. Mais le sang n'a pas le droit de couler chez les gens, alors on reste enfermé chez soi et... J'étais le seul homme de la famille. Mon père était mort et mon oncle était parti dans le sud. Il avait peur des représailles. Tous les jours, je regardais par la petite fenêtre du salon sur la table de la terrasse. J'osais pas sortir, parce que j'avais peur. J'avais peur de mourir. J'avais plus peur de mourir que de plus jamais voir le jour. Je suis mort.
Tu fais ça, t'as de l'argent, tu peux partir.
Quel argent? J'ai pas assez d'argent pour changer de vie.
Suffisamment pour partir d'ici. Il y a plein d'endroits où on retrouve pas les gens.
Pas dans mon pays.
Ma mère, elle vient d'Unier dans le golfe de Kokova.
On y allait tout le temps quand j'étais petite. On dirait la Grèce. Si tu trouvais un endroit comme ça, personne ne te retrouverait.
Yeah. So I'm getting very strong Robby Müller vibes here
Okay.
with the mixed light and.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that's a good thing.
What?
No, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Like Amerikanische Freund or something like that. It's very. So it is, in a certain sense, a Romeo and Juliet, and
Yeah.
a story in a gangster world
Yeah.
in Brussels, I think. Huh?
Yes.
Can you and it's in a different format you shot it.
Yeah.
So you're in
1:2.
Yeah, exactly. Can you tell me something about how you came to this project? And
Funny enough, the director saw Ghost Tropic, and he really liked it, and he wanted to talk to me. But this is a different like energy, and I wanted to try also something in a different genre and sharpen some other tools in a way. But Jeremy also came from, Jeremy is the director, he did two films before. And his last film, he got a bit closed in. He needed some new kind of freedom and breakout, and he wanted to deliver a new kind of energy in his movie that it's his first film. So we really went for it. You know, the film was a kind of a combination of, it was a genre film, so it's a bit like a combination of Pusher and a Wong Kar-wai film in a way. That way, those two he wanted to mix. And you,
So yeah, so like Wong Kar-wai, like Chungking Express, or
yes.
would sort of subvert the gangster genre.
Yeah. But I think that's already there in Wong Kar-wai films as well. It's already kind of a genre, gangster, but it's this kind of naivete that you had in the 90s that doesn't exist anymore. That we wanted for this film, but it's more about the energy, how to approach this film that was interesting for me. That he wanted like go rock and roll in a way. It's all handheld, so we really did some like like stuff you would do on a student film, or you know, like arrive on the set and figure it out and go with a different kind of energy than with Bas's films. Bas, it's also a lot of stuff is we also have freedom to look at the moment and see what the moment gives us. But it's different. It's a different story you're telling, and this is more about energy and handheld, and it's more a physical camera kind of work, I think.
Yeah, so it's not so grounded. It's more loose. It's more.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, going with the actors, and you shot on. This is digital, right?
It's a digital film, yes.
Yeah, and why did you choose digital for this?
It was also. I mean, if I could, I would I would shoot on film all the time, but it's not always possible for budget reasons. And also, to be honest, the way of shooting that energy that we delivered, the small camera really can give you this. Like we also used like small compact lenses to keep it in this way.
Yeah, and I think you use two types of lens sets to convey different kind of vibes.
Like the Kowa and the Lomo sets, but the spherical sets. The Kowa was more to create more that bubble of them two. When them two are together, we shot on the Lomos. It's more that kind of dreamy. We used it for these kind of shots in the background. The way it goes out of focus, it's very particular.
So the Lomos were more for the romantic part of the story. Would you say?
When they're together, yes.
Yeah.
In contrast to the other stuff that happens in the film.
Yeah, and were you happy with how that turned out? Was it an interesting experience?
No. I'm happy with the film. Yeah. No, I'm happy with the film.
So in that sense, doing a genre film could be a thing.
Yeah, but it's like I said, there's still something that that it's not like a classical genre film. The problem with the film is a bit that it's not like art enough for Cannes or for a festival. And it's not commercial enough for a streaming service, so it falls somewhere in the middle. And in these days, it gets a bit lost. I have the feeling, because there's no time anymore for a film to grow. It has to be like straight away in one of those two boxes. I think this film would have needed a bit more grow time. I think it could, because I think there is something. I feel something there, but it didn't really reach the audience because it didn't get a chance to. I have the feeling.
Ah, that's too bad. But also sometimes you make something beautiful, and people don't notice it at the time, and later on people will go like, yeah, well, that was a like really interesting piece.
Yeah, but where that used to be like that, but I don't know if it's still like this because of streaming, and because of I don't think it's like that anymore. It has to be somewhere available, and it's only like this kind of film falls somewhere in the middle, and it's not really available.
So you're saying there's no hope for like art house noir?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not art house enough. I think this.
Right. Yeah.
It's not something for a movie. It's not something for Netflix.
No, exactly.
But that's the way a lot of people in power think, I think.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of Pusher, the Vandekerckhove series. He made 3 of them, I think. And of course, the Wong Kar-wai films. And Wong Kar-wai, of course, also came out of a genre filmmaking and sort of went into art house. So anything can happen in that sense.
Yes, but it was a different time.
Yeah. So you're longing for that time?
No, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm longing, and I'm just wondering and observing. And I think some films have a harder time to reach an audience than others.
Yeah. Clear. What else? What I wanted to say? Yeah, I think we're going to go to Here, which played at the festival last night to great acclaim, and I think there was a really nice Q&A also about the film. But now we're going to talk about it some more. So here's excerpt number 1 from Here.
Ia să-i zăbotă cine. Ia uite. Aoleu. Eu e Pablo.
Da, știu.
Eu pot să o fac să meargă, dar nu că m-aș gândi să iau alta. Știi niște băieți la Târgoviște.
Da, mi-ai spus. Poți să faci până luni. Eu vreau să plec în dimineața aia.
Marți. Ce e?
O supă. Oh. Nu-i absolut nimic extraordinar.
Ok. Luni. Păi hai să o încălzesc. Supă! Foarte bună supa, foarte bună.
Bună supa. E de sfeclă?
Are și spectră, da. Un pic din toate, de fapt.
Nici până acum n-am învățat să gătesc ca lumea. Câteodată îmi pare și rău.
Nu e niciodată prea târziu să înveți să gătești, nu?
Nu, dar... Uite-te și tu la mâinile mele și uite-te la mâinile lui. Sunt atât de multe lucruri pe care aș vrea să le fac și nu o să pot niciodată. Lista devine tot mai lungă, nu mai scurtă.
Hai acum, nu te duci tu una, două. Motorul ăsta nu, te mai duci până la 100 de ani, lejer.
Motor? Ce e motor?
Se referă la defibrilatorul meu.
Cum te mai simți?
Ai fost vreodată a dormi complet? Nu. Pe mine m-am anesteziat complet pentru... complet sedat. E o senzație nebună. Închizi ochii, deschizi ochii, timpul a dispărut. Dar nu e ca și cum ai dormi. Doar negru. Clipești și a dispărut. În zilele următoare am dormit mult și am văzut niște lucruri foarte strane. Copiii stăteau în jurul patului meu, iar Adrian mi-a spus că vrea să facă o călătorie în jurul lumii. Și au început să vină tot mai mulți oameni. S-a umplut toată sala. erau în jurul patului meu, pe pervazul ferestrei. Erau cel puțin 50 de oameni. Și știam pe toți, după nume. Andreea, Dragoș, Gavril, ăla, micu Ionel, sora ta. Tu ai fost acolo. Ai fost acolo. Și a fost și muzică. Și am plâns. Am plâns. Mă simțeam așa de recunoscător. Dar după câteva zile, când mi-a revenit complet, Sandra mi-a zis că ea a fost singura care a avut voie să intre în spital. Doar ea.
Ți-a umblat la inimă. Asta nu e un fleac.
Când te întorci la sfârșitul lui august, vreau să dau o petrecere pentru voi toți. Bine?
Ok.
Te mai vezi cu Anca?
Da, mă, o să văd de seara la spital.
Spune să sune pe Sandra, să se joace copiii aia pe vară.
Îi spun.
Auzi, ar trebui să eviți Viena. Frații mi-au luat-o ieri pe acolo și e jale, e aglomerat.
Da?
Poți să o iei prin Graz.
Grazie, ce?
Yeah, lovely scene. We were talking about the guy who played the man from the garage, Theodor Korban,
Theodor, yeah.
a Romanian actor who just died.
No, not just. He died shortly after the movie.
Right.
He was actually sick when we were filming this, but we didn't know it. It was afterwards that we only heard this. But at the moment of film, it's a very special scene, I think, because he came out of nowhere from Romania, landed on the plane. He was there for one day, I think, and he delivered this performance, and then he left. And at the moment we were shooting this, you could really sense. I don't speak Romanian, but I knew what the text was. But you could sense that he was delivering something special, that it came from kind of place. But at the moment, it didn't make. I just thought he was a great actor. But afterwards, you hear that story, and it all comes together.
Yeah, it's really perfect.
It's a very touching.
Yeah.
Moment, I think, in the film, but also from him to give it to the film. And it's what we were talking about before, I think, like what your place is, and if you're shooting in a scene like this, you don't ask something to your actors or what, I mean, and you just give room, I think.
Yeah, you feel that room. And what I find interesting is in here is the city as opposed to the nature. Could you say something about that?
But it's the subject of the film, of course. That's how nature and the city relates to each other. But in a way, like I feel very at home when I'm shooting nature. In a way, it's easier for me to frame in nature. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I come from a background. I spent a lot of time as a kid in the woods. And I feel, I don't know, there's something that I sense in nature that I can capture more easily than inside a house, or there's more magic. I think it's the reality that plays, of course. It's the sunlight that falls in a certain kind of way. It's the wind that blows. It's all that kind of stuff that's much more alive. And if you can grab something, if you're sensitive to it, you can really see it, and then it's just point your camera on it.
Yeah, great. And when I see it a lot of the times, I think it looks like you're not using any light, but of course this is not true, probably.
We're shaping the light that's there. That's more the way I think. how I approach lighting, especially on the films with Buzz, and a lot of, because it's very low budget. We don't even need to think about big lights. We only use small lights, and it's more shaping what's there. It's more thinking what lights we can turn off, or where we create some shadow. I think here we just made a little bit of shadow, and that's it. But it's also the sun that broke through at that moment, because it was raining just before, I think, and it gave us this moment that he was sitting there, the sun was in the right place, and that's it.
But you planned that.
Yeah, you plan it, of course, and you think about, but still you're shooting in it, so everything can happen. It's not a certainty.
No, of course, I'm not saying you planned that the rain would stop, but I mean, of course.
You think about the elements that's there.
Yeah.
That's logic, where the sun will be at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when you're inside, like in the garage, and there you would do more shaping and turn off lights.
Yeah, it's mainly that, like create depth, create the volume, turning off the lights, and adding a little bit more where we want a bit more focus.
Right, and because you're shooting on film, so it's already. Like I would say, almost like an old school approach, a little bit more. Do you do a lot of in color correction?
But actually, the stuff we shoot on film, there's less color correction to it, because there's already much more deeper color. There's already more interesting highlights going on, and the color grading for the films we shoot on film, it's, I don't know, it's like 4 days or something, or 5 days. It's very fast. And when we shoot digital, it's much harder, because actually what you want to do there is go closer to what film can give you, that magic, and it's much more of a search, and you're adding grain and stuff, and I feel it's more frustrating when I'm color grading, when we are color grading.
Right, so you would add film grain to your digital image to make it feel more organic or more celluloid.
Yeah, not especially for that reason. More to digital can, because digital cameras now are so sharp that it's almost like a window, that there is no feeling of your look, or of
texture.
Texture, but also it's too real for me. It's a bit too sharp. It's a bit too concrete. And actually, it's funny with here. We tested a lot to shoot it digitally.
Okay, so you wanted to shoot it digitally at first?
It was more because of budget, I think, that we wanted to help our producer a little bit.
Always nice.
Always nice. But we were talking about the script and the film at the same time, and that we were shooting some digital tests at the same time, and we were getting a bit frustrated in our talks, because we didn't really go any further in our talks. We always got a bit stuck, and that was because of the digital stuff in our head, that we didn't really like what we were seeing. And I remember that Buzz, during those talks, that he played a poem of Ross Gay, and
he played what?
A poem. It's Ross Gay is a poet.
Yeah.
And he played that poem to listen to. We were kind of that struggle that I'm talking about, how to decide on film or not film, and the script. And that poem it's about being thankful, and being thankful for everything, the bad things, the good things, being acceptant. And there's this undertone, and it felt very organic, and it made sense when we were listening to that poem. For me, it was like, okay, the digital is totally the wrong way, and we have to go back to the organic feeling and the warmth of film. So that was kind of how we landed on shooting 16 again for here.
Via a poem, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's not only beautiful because it's a poem, but it's beautiful because it's because we used our sensibilities. That what he was talking about. That you felt what we needed, and it's not that we really knew what we needed beforehand, but we felt at that moment that's what we need.
Right.
And once we made that click, we went very fast through the screenplay as well.
Yeah, and then you played the poem for the producer?
No. The producer said, "I told you so from the beginning that we had to shoot on film."
All right, yeah. So he sort of knew that you guys were gonna...
Yeah, but he knows everything.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but you tried, so that's nice. Yeah, of course.
The positioning of the four men as they are sitting there eating their soup.
Yeah.
It seems so simple, but I think it's very, very precise. Can you tell us something about how that came about?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll repeat that. So what Theo asked is the positioning of the four men sitting on the grass. It sort of feels very random, but at the same time very precise. So how did it come about?
It's very precise. I mean, it's yeah, we really placed them in the way that I think we worked a bit on that shot to find the right positions of the actors. It's not that before like that scene. It's not beforehand that we know how many shots we were going to do.
So you didn't know you were going to do the single of the garage guy and the single of the lead character?
It's not. It wasn't said beforehand. I mean, it's also kind of logical in a way. I mean, you don't have to say that kind of stuff, I think.
No, but let's say if you would go like really hard art house approach, you would say, "We'll just do it in the wide shot."
No, I mean that's not what the scene was about. So it would be everything would have been lost. It's too far away. Mm-hmm. But it's more. Yeah, you see the location and you see those kind of shot. What I think specifically for that shot, what the location gives you, and what works as a direction, and then you already kind of have your shot, and then you place your characters at the right spot. I mean, there it was precise to really. It's not that they just sat down and that was the shot.
No, so
yeah. But sometimes it happens that when you put the camera down, it's a typical thing that creates the surprise of something can also create a shot.
Yeah, I have that a lot. That the grip just throws it down, and I'm like, "This is it," you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's very weird.
Yeah, it's weird because you get so stuck into your idea of trying to find something, and you're not open anymore for I think that surprise or for a different angle, and then it's actually the accident that gives you the shot.
Yeah, but that's interesting to always be sort of open for that, what is given. I guess. But it's also interesting what Theo says that it sort of feels very simple, but it's still very composed. That combination is very. I find that very beautiful. Yeah. I think, but it's also. I think that's also a language we discovered with Ghost Drop, because it's also something I like: simplicity in light and simplicity in composition. It's also close who I am as not be too present, and the image is not too present. It's again that same thing, I think, for me personally. Right, and yeah, well, let's look at one. Shall we look at here number 3? Okay. The excerpt, because I think that's interesting because it's also about nature. Yeah.
C'est comme une micro-forêt. C'est vraiment rempli de vie.
Ouais, je vois.
Les mousses sont les plus anciennes plantes à avoir poussé sur Terre. Je pense qu'elles vont encore être là longtemps après qu'on soit partis. Enfin, je veux dire qu'elles nous survivront. Je pense qu'elles ont beaucoup de choses à nous dire malgré leur taille.
Et ça se mange?
Non, pas vraiment. C'est très difficile à digérer.
Et qu'est-ce que tu fais ici?
Là, j'étudie comment les mousses réagissent aux perturbations de leur environnement,
Comme la pollution.
par exemple.
Et tu les comptes?
Oui, une par une, avec ma petite loupe.
Merci. Je dois y aller.
Ok.
Récupérer ma voiture. J'ai mis toi.
Qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Je vois de toutes petites feuilles, presque transparentes. C'est très beau. Bonjour. Ça va?
Oui, oui.
Les premiers trains à rouler sur le continent européen sont arrivés ici. Plus ou moins ici.
Je savais pas. On continue?
So that's interesting that he's sort of commenting on the Industrial Revolution, and she's working in nature. Or it's an interesting clash. And also, I was thinking about this, that maybe you and Bas are sort of using your microscope to look at the world to.
Yeah, I mean, we're using. Yeah, looking through the lens is actually an interesting thing when we were shooting here and in nature as well, because I think that's the main tool I use and that we also share. I think Buzz and I, that when we look to the viewfinder, it's shot on 16, and we were really looking to a viewfinder and not a monitor. That like you sense and you feel like if you believe it or not in a way. Like if you look at the image, it makes sense, and that it's something you feel. And I'm really bad with words, but I don't know how to say. But I noticed with Buzz directly that he also sees the same thing. I only have this with Buzz. I think that it's like the stuff that bothers him bothers me as well in the image, and that's kind of straight away. So that's mainly my most important tool that I have, I think, is that sensibility and that looking through that viewfinder and being away for a moment and really believing it or not, or you know what I mean? And it was the same with that composition of the four guys that you asked about. It's also that you look through that viewfinder and then you know it's right. You search for it until you know it's right, but it's hard to bring it into words sometimes. But you search for it until that's it, okay, and go.
And would you and Bas look at images beforehand and say, well, this is sort of what this movie is about, or this story?
No, it's more talking. It's me listening. It's listening to that poem that he played, but there's no real reference to other images. No, but we did walk to the swamp in Brussels, and he showed me places, and then we look around, and that's kind of the way that we look and search for those things.
Yeah, because we're almost stopping. There's one more thing I want to say, because you also make photographs.
Yeah.
And so, do you make photographs then at those moments?
Yeah, but that's a different way of photographing for me. It's not so much there. When I'm shooting a film, I'm not taking photos like that one. Mm-hmm. It's when I really make photos, I go for a walk and I make photos and I observe, and
it's a separate thing.
It's a separate thing. That's more informative. When we were prepping a movie, it's more for me informative. It's not so much the sensitivity or searching for that film in that moment.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're unless there are any questions.
It was here in Rotterdam. When is here released in the Netherlands? In June, I think. In June, the film will play here. Then you can all go and watch.
Great. Okay. Well, I would again love to thank the festival. Irene van Lint, who helped out a lot, of course, the Netherlands Society of Cinematographers, and Andrea Müller for the initiative of starting the Robby Müller Award and for getting the chance to talk to Grimm. Thank you so much, Grimm.
Thank you.
Thank you.